Alright, so we're going to play a little bit with voiceovers today. I didn't have a good opportunity to explain what was going on, and the volume in the shop was really bad, and I didn't have a good way to hold the camera at the time. So you'll notice that everything's oriented incorrectly, and I apologize about that. Basically, what we're going to be doing today is Nissan has standoffs on their exhaust manifolds. Little 3/4 of an inch long deals that come off their manifolds, and that was what their heat shields bolt to. These bolts are really bad about getting rust. They get very hot. They've got a lot of water on them, a lot of road salts, and they break. You go to take one off, it breaks. It really doesn't matter if you've soaked it down because the bolt rusts all the way through, and the metal becomes very hard and very brittle inside of that bolt. So here you're going to see me fix 3 or 4 of these over a period of time. Just kind of watch, if you will. I'm doing 3 steps here. It's a 6mm bolt, which means I can go up to 5-ish, a little over 5mm when you consider the thread engagement. So what I'm doing is I'm stepping from an 1/8 to a 3/16 to a 7/32, which is roughly 5.5mm. That's just a touch big, but it's an exhaust bolt and it's going to be fine. I start out with an 1/8 inch on purpose. Most cheaper drill sets have 2 1/8 drills in them in case you break one, and that's comforting. It also means I have a spare sharp one on hand. I don't usually buy great drill bits. I have a pretty good set at home, but this is at my job, and good drill bits have a tendency to grow legs, and I don't particularly care for that. So I'm just rocking a set of the Milwaukee brand black oxide. I think they're called Thunderbolts. They've done a good job for me so far. It's important to try and get these parts, back to our job at hand here. It's important to try and get these manifolds set up relatively square. And what I mean by square is oriented in such a way that you can drill straight down into it. You need to be pretty on center with these. So you'll notice I'm taking my time when I'm using the center punch, trying to get this thing pretty dead on with my center punch. We need a good center punch. This stuff's hard, and we need to get a pretty dang close to center. I'm not perfect on it, but I'm pretty close. And I'm going to drill that 1/8 inch hole using a lot of lubricant. I'm going to put it on the #1 speed of my drill so it's spinning slow. Heat is the enemy of your drill bits. Cut nice and slow with lots of lube, and lube also acts as the coolant in this case to help keep everything nice and cool. And I'm going to drill right at the end of the bolt. There will be a little period. You'll feel it get kind of gritty and it'll fall through, and you'll be touching the manifold at that point. Obviously, you don't want to drill through the manifold. If you do, it's not as much fun to try and fix. At that point, I'll stop. I'm going to try and take some, I'm just using PB Blaster here because that's what the shop buys. I'm going to take that. I'm going to blow this hole out, just kind of clean it out, get the nasty hard rusted bolt out, and I'm going to stick that 3/16 drill down in there. And at this point I'm using it to break stuff. That sounds a little weird in drilling. These bolts have become so hard, and they were such a hard metal to begin with, that they're actually breaking into chunks. Each one of them that I drilled, it didn't really leave in the fashion that you would expect them to. They broke out in chunks. Once the 1/8 inch drill was through, started with the 3/16 and chunks started breaking off, and then I cleaned up with the 7/32. And then I was able to just blow them out real good with the PB Blaster and run. It's actually not a tap, it's just a thread restoration tap. This is a Matco set, but any other set similar would work very well. I'm just going through. It takes a 7/16 or 11mm wrench. I like to run a wrench so I can work them back and forth a little bit. That cleans the threads. Anytime you've got a tap or something like that and you're running it in, it'll tighten. You loosen it some, and that breaks off anything in the cut. So you're just working that thing down in there and getting it to the bottom. It's not a huge deal. It's not a huge repair, however. Your heat shields will rattle if you don't fix this. There are other ways around it. I've seen guys, some of these heat shields have steel in them. Some of them are mostly aluminum, depending on the brand that you're working on. I've seen guys weld them in. I've seen guys cut the standoffs off. I've seen guys just trash the shields. Now this is a relatively new vehicle. I don't want to trash the shields. This needs to be right. When I do put them back on, I will put a little bit of anti-seize on there just to be safe. But overall, man, that's it. That's what we're doing. We're just taking this stuff, and as you see, this video is sped up, but we're just doing 3 steps with a good center punch to start with, nice, slow, under control, making sure that we're not drilling through into the manifold. 1/8 inch, 3/16, 7/32, nice and slow. Wear eye protection, and get this in a good, comfortable position. It's going to be difficult to do this on the vehicle. I understand that you may have to. I've done it before, but your control is going to be a big deal in trying to drill straight. We don't want to screw up the threads in this. It's much easier to do this in such a way where we can save the threads. So that's the long and short of it right there. Any regular, this is M6x1 or something of that nature, bolt that we want to use can be used as the replacement, but we have to be sure that it's short. It has to be a relatively short bolt. We don't want to try, and I've seen guys break these off because they bottom out against the manifold, and that's not okay. Just use your head on this one, guys, but it is kind of a difficult as far as due to the amount of rust, corrosion. Rust is very, very hard. Rust is harder than the average metal, and that makes it hard to center punch. It makes it hard to drill. It makes it hard on drill bits. So go slow, good center punch, lots of lube, and also keep in mind, I've seen guys burn up their drills drilling stuff like this, cordless drills. Your hands, when you apply downward thrust on this, can easily cover the cooling ports, the vents on the side of your drill. That's something we want to keep from doing if at all possible. And that's pretty much, yep, for real this time. That's it. Drill them out, save the threads if you can. If you get the opportunity, if you got one that's hard to center punch, you can take a grinder and grind it flush if it's a little bit proud sticking out of that hole. However, this truck had raw fuel around it earlier in the day, and we chose not to go that route. So let's hope this voiceover thing works. Definitely the video was not in a place where there was guys cussing in the background and stuff. I just didn't feel comfortable letting that out into the world. But I did want to kind of show what we're going through here as far as this repair. Sometimes it's nice to just see. Have a great day, guys. Remember, boots not suits, and we don't fix hearts or helicopters. BA Fabrication. Feel free to like, rate, comment, subscribe. Please subscribe. Have a great day.